Before I start, I wanted to say thanks to The Behemoth for providing me with a review copy of the game. You don't know how much I appreciate it. Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Network, and today we're doing a review. Yes, I think my last actual review was the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2, so yeah, it's been a while. Anywho, today we are reviewing Castle Crashers Remastered for the Nintendo Switch. So grab ye weapon of old and prepare thyself for war. Okay, I can't do that the whole review. Well, maybe I could, but it'd get old fast. On to the actual review though. Originally, Castle Crashers actually came out in 2008 for the Xbox 360. The plot is you are a knight for the king and a large magical gem and his 4 daughters are taken. You must travel the land to defeat the evil that has taken his most precious thing to the king and of course his daughters. Yeah, the plot is basic, but it's just a way to get to what makes the game really good. Castle Crashers is a beat-em-up arcade-style game where you go from one set piece to another set piece defeating hordes of enemies. Think Turtles in Time. Although Castle Crashers has a leveling up system to improve your attack, defense, speed, and magical abilities. Each different colored knight has different magical abilities, such as ice, lightning, fire, poison, and love rainbows? Sure, why not? It's pretty fun actually. But as you play the game, more and more knights are unlocked and they bring their own special flavor of magic to be unleashed. Other abilities to add to your arsenal come in the form of bow and arrows, bombs, and a sandwich that turns you into the Hulk for a short amount of time, which I could somehow see happening in the MCU, so sure, why not. As with any game like this, as you progress, the enemies are tougher, smarter, and at times rather annoying. And in some instances, playing solo, it can be a chore to take out a horde of evil panda bear things. And that's one of the low points of the game. Remember when I said it was an arcade-style game? Well, I meant it. It really does remind me of the quarters I would put into that old X-Men game, The Simpsons, and Turtles in Time, like I mentioned. But it is a lot more forgiving, as if you die, you start at the beginning of the current level. And there are ways of improving yourself even beyond just grinding the lower levels. When you level up, you can up your magical skills and abilities. Through your travels, you can find different weapons that lean more towards different playstyles. Prefer a quick but less powerful weapon? You can find it. And even the opposite. And then there are the animal buddies. As you travel across the land, searching far and wide, you'll obtain different animals that will follow you around. You can have one at a time, but each has a different ability. The ram will run into enemies, the owl will locate food for you to heal, and little Spiky ups your defense. It isn't game changer per se, but it can help you customize your knight a bit more with how you play in your own play style. Not huge, but it does give the game a bit more character as well. Speaking of characters, this game is chock full of it, mostly the villains, from a Cyclops who enjoys Terminator 2 to a literal catfish. The villains are the true highlight of the game. Each boss battle feels unique, from the first boss being a huge brute you must avoid and hit, to the dragon who will use his tail that has a hand puppet to throw rocks at you. That's a sentence I just said. The game doesn't come without some smaller issues though. As I said, the hordes of enemies can be overwhelming at times, but it seems like the game was made with a multiplayer mindset, and it does shine in that sense. When you get 2 or more friends together, the game just gets a lot better, and the moments of frustration become really enjoyable. But then solo play feels a lot more alone and hollow, and the balance isn't really there for when there's 1 player or 4 players. And the music is also not bad, but not great. It does the job, it doesn't stand out like other titles, but it's not really a deal breaker per se. Amongst the normal campaign, which can take you a little bit of time to go through, there are arenas to battle in, mini-games, and online as well to increase the post-game. And then there's the insane mode, ramping up the difficulty of the game as well. And remember, this is the remastered version, so it comes out with all that DLC that Xbox 360 got. And then there's the Knights, which there's well over 20, and each of them, they play pretty similar, but their magical abilities really make them stand out differently, and they're a lot of fun to try out. It also is not a complicated game, which depends on how you view it, could be good or bad. I see it as good, as I can have anyone, even people who don't play games very often, pick up the controller and join in the fun pretty easily. Simple to play, but there are combos and choices with skills that give the game a little bit of depth, so even experienced gamers like myself can really get into it even though it starts out simple. It's not a whole lot, but it does matter. So it all comes down to should you get the game, and my recommendation. It's complicated. Look, this is a great game. If you love co-op multiplayer at $14.99 and all the content, it is well worth it. But the divide comes into play if you've never bought the game or played it before, or if you did back in the day. If you haven't, oh yeah, buy it. It's well worth it. If you did own it already, I'd say purchase it only if you get together with friends often to play co-op multiplayer. You will get hours and hours of fun from that alone. I give Castle Crashers Remastered for the Nintendo Switch. I don't do normal numbers for reviews. It's normally something random because I want people to listen to the review and not skip to the end for an arbitrary number. So the score is by Polar Bear, because that is an amazing name for a floating polar bear animal buddy. And I want a stuffed animal of this so bad. Thank you for tuning in to the Nintendo Network. Let me know your thoughts on Castle Crashers in the comments below. If you like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and consider helping me out on Patreon. As always, this is the Nintendo Network, signing off.